Friends, we are discussing about the concepts of distribution losses. Later we will see how these losses can be minimized. So before we will see, there is a question we received from the Ranchi. Mr. Rajiv Rajan has sent this question. So the question is, I would like to request Ms. Anjali Chandra to ask to just answer this query. In the Jharkhand scenario, how we can measure technical loss in rural area where meter has not provided in feeder as well as consumer end?
Okay. Well, when meter is not provided, you want to know how to measure the technical loss. Yes.
Just we answer this.
No, let us take
Okay, just.
Yes.
Yes, please ask your question.
हाँ जी, हेलो हेलो हाँ सर,
हाँ जी पूछिए.
ये सजेस्ट सुटेबल मेजर फॉर रिडक्शन ऑफ commercial losses by theft and pilferage of energy in our utilities, sir.
Yes. First we'll take up the Jharkhand question. When meters are assessing of loss when meters are not installed. So either you can do it through clamp-on meters. Meter is not installed, but you can take clamp-on meters and take the energy input on the energy input side and also take the energy consumed by the consumer. But since you say meter is neither installed on the consumers nor on the input side, then the technical loss can be assessed, the commercial loss cannot be assessed. The technical loss can be assessed by taking the parameters of the line. For example, you should know the resistance of the line, the current flowing through the conductor, the loading of the line, the power factor of the line. If you have all these details, then you can conduct a load flow study and find out the technical loss. So otherwise you will have to use clamp-on meters and then find out the loss, because you have to find out what is the energy input to the system and what is the energy build.
I think the idea of asking this question is in Jharkhand the meters are not provided and either at the supply end or the consumer end. So the gentleman wants to know how can we find out the losses. So my suggestion would be that a sample survey and sample audit would need to be done in the rural area of the Jharkhand. But metering would be required. So while doing your
sample also you will require a metering.
You will require a meter. So I am not saying that the meter may be permanently fixed. Of course, that will be the most desirable thing. But for doing this audit, the clamp-on meters or wherever you want to make this survey and audit, that metering would be needed, and then you can find out the losses, and that can be applied to the whole of the area.
Yes.
So now can we take up
the next question was how we can measure the copper losses and iron losses in the power transformers and distribution transformers.
The question from Ranchi received by FX. Yes.
Yeah, we were talking about the question from Ranchi regarding measurement of loss in power transformers and distribution transformers. This measurement of loss is done by testing in a laboratory, and there is the measurement of loss is clearly given in IS 2026, which gives the procedure to be followed for measuring iron loss as well as copper loss in transformers. So you can refer to that. There is a detailed test procedure given.
Yeah, test can be carried out for this.
Yes. And regarding the query from suggesting measures for reduction of theft and pilferage, we are going to take this in great detail regarding measures for reduction of commercial loss in the next session. So we kindly wait for those sessions. We will discuss in great detail how you can reduce commercial losses. So we were talking about commercial losses. What are the methods for being used for indulging in commercial tampering and theft? So the methods used for tampering of meters, for electromechanical meters, people have been very innovative. In addition to the general methods of reversing the polarity or earthing the load, people have used spiders. Small holes are drilled into the meters and live spiders or spider eggs are crammed into them. The spider webs slow down the metering mechanism giving a false reading. Then people are using needles. Needle pins are inserted into a hole, throwing down the meter's recording wheel to give a flash reading or even a zero usage. A small hole is drilled into the body which is not even visible to the naked eye. Then magnets are being used. Small magnets attached to the outside of the meter casing will stop the meter from registering or slow it down. The chewing gum is often used to stop the meter completely, but the chewing gum is taken out just before the meter reading is taken. So all these methods are being used. After this is outside, from outside. If you can assess the meter, like you can open the meter, then the following tampering methods are used: reversing dial digits, insertion of pin to stop recording, tampering of the cyclometer device to slow down the movement of the disc, making hole in the disc to imbalance it for less recording, tilting of meter to disturb the movement of the disc. If it is not in a horizontal position, then also the disc will record less. Then tampering of three-phase electromechanical meter. Your three-phase electromechanical meter generally has a CT and PT, and use of CTs not compatible with the meter, loosening the connections of pressure wire and current wires, reversal of phases of CT, making meter sticky through body hammering, by providing thin PVC film through window glass to stop the dial of the disc. And in three-phase or single-phase electronic meter, injection of external DC voltage in neutral circuit of meter is being done to disturb the recording system of the meter. This is the latest tamper. Injection of high frequency is also being done to disturb the recording system of the meter. Installation of remote control device in CT or pressure circuit of the meter to control the input to the meter is also being done. Installing of compact device consisting of a spark plug, tube starter or an electronic device with voltage source to create electromagnetic interference. These are some of the latest tampers being observed. And no meter, as we said, is tamper proof. When these tampers come up, we try to find a way out, and we have taken up with the meter manufacturers to make the meter immune to these tampers. As yet, one or two manufacturers have come up with of making the meter immune to up to 35 kV. But once you come up with methodology to make the meter immune to 35 kV, people come up with a device which can inject 50 kV. So, the tamper continues to, the innovativeness of the tamper continues to increase. You can see an electronic gadget being used for tampering the meter. This is one photograph which we got from PSCB. People are using this on the meter to tamper the meter. Reports of tampering of meters have come from Chhattisgarh. In fact, the newspapers in UP carried a small news item dated 26th August 2006 regarding remote device being used for tampering of meters. These remote devices were manufactured in Meerut for fitting in CT of industrial meters, leading to large-scale theft. In fact, in the other day we saw a program on TV which the title of the program was Meter Ka Badshah, and one person was telling quite openly how to tamper the meters. He is in fact known as Meter Ka Badshah, and maybe you all also have seen this program on TV. So tampering of meters is it's a social problem in our country. People do not feel afraid of tampering. They tell it very boldly that we are tampering meters. Whereas if you are indulging in theft of other articles, you will not openly come out that you are a thief. But when you tamper meters, you come out openly and tell others also how to tamper the meter. So it's more of a social problem that we have in our country. When meter reading errors, metering errors. We may have a defective metering system, we may have a CT ratio error or meter reading errors. The meter reader goes to read the meter, he does not take down the reading properly, or he doesn't go at all and does a table reading and takes the meter reading only after 6 months. So all this leads to commercial loss. We have seen meter readers sitting on the table and writing down the readings. The defective metering system, which I said, it could be the poor accuracy of meters. The electromechanical meters used to get very sluggish over time. There could be an accuracy problem of 30 to 40%. Large errors in CTs and PTs, voltage drop in the PT cables, loose connection in PT wire terminations, which result in low voltage at feeder meter terminals, or an overburdened CT. The meter reading errors. Like I said, the meter reader avoids meter reading due to several causes, like house locked, meter not traceable. He just writes a reading on his own, or manual unintentional errors in meter reading. He reads something but records something else. There can be intentional errors in meter reading with the collusion of the meter reader and coffee shop or tabletop reading. That means he doesn't at all want to go there. He just keeps on writing readings on his own. So this is the type of various meter reading errors which could occur and which cause commercial loss. Then data punching errors. The meter reader does not punch in the correct figures. Data punching error by the meter reader or by the data entry operator. When he reads and punches it into the billing system, then also he can make an error in the entry of data. Then lack of validation checks and lack of management summaries and exception reports on meter reading. Because if this data is entered incorrectly, then there should be exception reports. For example, if a consumer has been consuming in the past around 113 units, and if it suddenly comes to 356 or 657 or something like this, then the exception report should come that maybe this consumer's reading has not been entered properly. We should have exception reports. If we don't have such exception reports, then also meter reading errors are likely to increase. Then lack of energy accounting and auditing systems is another reason why we have high commercial losses. We don't have proper instrumentation in feeders and DTs for carrying out energy audits. Unless we have metering on DT, it's quite difficult to carry out an energy audit. Then not using meters with appropriate data logging features. The meters in the distribution transformers and feeders should have data logging features. It should be able to record the energy consumption and all other parameters for 35 or 45 days. It should have a memory large enough to hold all this data, and then this data should be downloaded and analyzed for proper auditing. Lack of system for carrying out regular energy accounting to monitor losses and energy accounting errors. So all these are resulting in high commercial losses. We are going to have a detailed lecture on energy accounting and auditing maybe in October. So then maybe you will have a greater insight into how auditing and accounting is carried out in power systems. Then the next error is due to error in the billing process. One is the error at the meter level. We have talked about all the errors which can occur in the meter reading, and those errors, how do they cause commercial loss. Another loss is caused by error in the billing process. The consumer is not billed or is underbilled. The consumer is given a provisional billing, for example in tabletop reading, or maybe he is given when the meter reader is not able to take a reading of the meter of the consumer, a provisional bill is issued, bill not delivered at proper time, lack of system to ensure bills are delivered, and bill on account of old meter on change. Sometimes the meter is changed, but the but the bill is based on the old meter readings. So all these cause errors and commercial loss. The errors in these billing could be errors in raising the correct billing, manipulation and changes made in meter reading at billing centers, lack of a system to ensure integrity of data. We are not able to make validation checks at the billing software in the computer. These metering and billing errors are mostly not due to any deliberate action by the consumer or the customer. These are the internal shortcomings of our system, and hence these losses like meter reading error and billing, they should be easier to be tackled because the consumer does not have any hand in it, and it is our own system which is to be revamped to take care of all these errors. In fact, these losses have crept in due to the fact that the boards functioned not like commercial organizations but semi-commercial organizations, and had they worked as commercial organizations, maybe these errors would not have crept in, because this is to be tackled at our own level, at the utility level. We have talked about T&D loss. Now we come to AT&C loss, because that is a new term which is being used for the past 3 or 4 years since reforms started, distribution reforms started in our country in 2000-2001. We came up with a new term called aggregate technical and commercial loss. The total of technical and commercial loss is called T&D loss. In addition to this loss,
covering how to reduce these T&D losses?
Yes, we will come to that later. This is the concept of T&D and AT&C loss.
Okay.
Then we will come to how to reduce these. So we were talking about aggregate technical and commercial losses. The T&D loss plus the revenue loss, the loss which occurs on non-realization of the billed demand, that together with T&D loss is called AT&C loss. So we can say the aggregate technical and commercial loss is the difference of the units input to the system and the revenue realized converted in terms of units. So this has come out because in the estimation of T&D losses, we were having an element of estimation. Like we discussed earlier, T&D loss is the difference between units input and units billed. And in the billed amount, there are units billed on account of metered energy and units billed which are estimated, which are the flat rate consumers. So in that flat assessment of units, in that category, people were putting all the commercial losses under that category. It was usually the units consumed by agriculture were being shown much more than what were actually being consumed. That is why this new term came up, aggregate technical and commercial losses, and this units realized were computed from the actual revenue available in the utility.
So in simple terms, can you say that the AT&C loss is the units purchased or the input energy minus the units paid for?
Units realized. Actually, units
paid for,
yes, you can say that.
Because whatever revenue you collect, you convert
that is converted back into the number of units.
That is the units paid for.
Yes.
So and the percentage of difference
of that
is the AT&C loss.
So why did we come to this AT&C loss? Because there was, as I told you, T&D loss computation errors. This was due to agricultural consumption and unmetered consumptions being assessed, and substantial portion of T&D loss, including theft of electricity, were getting attributed to this assessed agricultural consumption. Agricultural or assessed consumption being shown higher than actual consumption, and accordingly T&D losses were being shown as much lower. Therefore we came to this aggregate technical and commercial losses.
The aggregate technical commercial losses not only came because of this reason alone, but the reason was that the distribution companies were losing revenue
Yeah,
And
I was coming to that.
No focus was there on this revenue
Exactly,
loss,
sir.
and by AT&C loss, at least that has come into focus and
Exactly.
concentration.
I was coming to this. Also, T&D loss was being computed taking into account electricity bills issued to the consumers. T&D loss figure did not capture the major gap between the billing and the collection, apart from the large amount of theft. To get over this problem, concept of AT&C losses was introduced, so that this gap between billing and revenue collection was also covered as a loss to the as a part of the loss figures. So simplified, how do we calculate AT&C loss? We start from the right hand corner. Supposing units purchased are 100 and units billed to consumers are 50, then the T&D loss or technical and commercial loss is 50 units. That is 50% loss is taking place in T&D system. Then supposing these 50 units were billed to consumers at rupees 4 per unit, then the amount billed to the consumer would be rupees 200. But actually you do not realize that all 200 rupees that you have billed to the consumers, and the amount realized by the utility was only 160 rupees. Therefore, this 160 rupees, if it is converted back to units at the same rate of 4 rupees, then it will become 40 units. Therefore, the loss is now 100 minus 40, that is 60 units, or AT&C loss is 60%. So 50% is T&D loss plus 10% loss is due to collection inefficiency. So together with this 50 plus 10%, it becomes 60% aggregate technical and commercial losses. So that is how it, now I hope this concept of aggregate technical and commercial losses is clear. So if we talk in terms of how to calculate this, then AT&C loss is percentage AT&C losses energy input minus energy realized over energy input into 100. And how do we find this energy realized? We talked of a very simplified procedure earlier by taking rupees 4 a unit. Actually, energy is realized at different rates for different categories of consumers, and we have a slab system also. For example, in domestic, we might be having that the first 100 units will be charged at 2 rupees, the next 100 will be charged at 3 rupees, and above that they will be charged at 4 rupees. So how do we convert the energy amount realized to the energy realized? We need an average rate of realization, but it's very difficult to calculate that average rate of realization because we have many categories like domestic, commercial, LT industrial, large industrial, public lighting, then water, then railway traction. So how to find an average rate of realization? To overcome this problem, we came out with the term collection efficiency, and energy realized is calculated by energy billed into collection efficiency. And how do we find this collection efficiency is that amount realized over amount billed into 100 is the collection efficiency. These two figures are known, amount realized and amount billed. And collection efficiency is amount realized by amount billed, and to find out the energy realized, we multiply the energy billed into collection efficiency. So the average rate of realization, since it is difficult to calculate, that difficulty is overcome by using the term collection efficiency.
So if you would like to ask any question on this topic, aggregate technical and commercial loss, you can ask. You can call us.
Yeah.
This would make our lecture more interesting.
Okay. So we were talking about aggregate technical and commercial loss. So we have talked about the meter reading and billing process. What are the lacuna in our collection process? There is a lack of system to trace defaulters, including regular defaulters. There is slow and effective disconnection, and there is slow reconciliation of our records. Care has to be taken for reliable disconnection of supply. This is one reason. Then we get sometimes part payment. Sometimes there are legal cases going on, so collection does not come. Then there is an uneasy mechanism of payment. The payment counters, we go and there is a long line. We have to go somewhere else, so we decide not to pay. That is one reason where you will not realize the bill. The consumer thinks, let me pay next time. So now when many utilities have started with the easy bill system, you can deposit this system, the bill with your grocery or some other shop in your neighborhood, and he deposits the bill at a very nominal charge. So all this is being taken care of, but the collection inefficiency comes because of these. There may not be many counters. Then the number of counters are less. The check may not be accepted by the counter. He says there is some problem in the check. So lots of problems come up in the collection process. That is why there is a difference between the energy billed and the energy realized. And we need to improve our collection process also, because the ultimate aim of the utility is not billing but to get revenue. And unless he receives revenue for the energy supplied, it will not become a profitable business. So the revenue loss also comes due to loss of opportunity to serve. This revenue loss is not only due to the collection process but also due to the loss of opportunity to serve. There is a system outage leading to loss of revenue. This outage may be due to breakdown, due to preventive maintenance, due to load shedding. So all these also causes a revenue loss to the utility, but it doesn't come under aggregate technical and commercial loss. So these AT&C losses for various state power utilities, we have just logged this up to 2005-06. As you can see, the AT&C loss percentage for eastern region is around 32.70% in 2005-06. For Bihar it was in the range of 67%, for Jharkhand 54%, and for various companies in Orissa like CESCO 42%, NESCO 36%, CESCO 45%, WESCO 37%. In Sikkim it was around 64%. So you can see the high value of AT&C losses in our countries. In northeastern states, Arunachal Pradesh in 2005-06 it was 37.19%. In Assam it was 39% in 2004-05. Manipur it has been of the order of 77%. So we saw the T&D losses were of the order of 70%, and added to that the inefficiency in collection, it has come to 77%. So the utility is collecting money for only 22% of the energy it is serving to its customers. In Meghalaya it is 18%, in Nagaland it is 45%, and for the northeastern region as a whole it is 35.06%. In northern region for BRPL, that is BSES Rajdhani Power Limited, it was in 2005-06 39%. In BYPL, that is BSES Yamuna Private Power Limited, is 48.58%. In NDPL it remained at 28%. In Haryana, in Dakshin Haryana Bijli Vitran Nigam Limited, it was 40.78%. In Uttar Haryana Bijli Vitran Nigam Limited, it was 41.90%. In HP it was 15%. Well, in Punjab it was around 26%. In Rajasthan, as you can see, in the various distribution companies, it was around 47%. In Uttar Pradesh, it was ranging from 55 to 46%. In Uttaranchal, it was in the range of 38%.
Yeah, there is a call from Delhi. Yes, Delhi, please ask your question.
Hello.
Hello, yes, please ask your question.
Yes.
Delhi, please ask your question.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please ask your question. Please ask your question.
I think telephone has disconnected.
Well, we cannot hear you.
You can get all these figures as Madam mentioned from our course book, block 4. All figures are there. All data are available in our course 1 of block 4.
Yeah. In southern region, the AT&C losses, as you can see, for Andhra ranged from 12 to 18%. For Karnataka and the 5 companies, they range from 20 to 35%. In Kerala, they were around 25%. In Pondicherry, these losses were 16%. In Tamil Nadu, 20.46%. In western region also, the AT&C loss for the region as a whole. Yes.
Yeah, there is a call from Preet Vihar, Delhi. Yes, please ask your question.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ask your question.
मैम जो CERC या SERC जो गाइडलाइंस बनाते हैं कि आपका जो एनर्जी का जो रेट होगा वो किस जो लॉ कंसीडर करके बनाते हैं या कि एनर्जी जितना हम दे रहे हैं उससे बनाते हैं?
नहीं, actually in the
I want to know that
yes.
कि क्या ये कंपनी को एक्चुअल में लॉस होता है या एनर्जी का जो रेट है वो ज्यादा कर देते हैं तो थोड़ा कम हो जाता है?
No, actually in the
थैंक यू.
the distribution company files an average revenue requirement with the SERC. The losses are a pass-through in the while calculating the tariff. But the SERC says the losses should be maintained at this level. The utility should maintain the losses at a certain level. But whatever losses the SERC mandates, they are a pass-through in your tariff. So they do not come as a loss to the utility.
So losses are a part of the revenue, a part of the tariff.
Tariff.
Yes.
They are a pass-through for the utility. And the tariff, if the tariff is not to be increased beyond a certain level, then that is compensated by the state government in some way, or the tariff should actually take into account the losses occurring in the system.
Okay.
So this has been pictorially also depicted. The AT&C loss concept has been pictorially depicted in your book like this.
It is given in block 4.
Yeah, it is given in block 4. So we have come to an end of concept of distribution loss. We will now move on to the methods of reduction of these losses. If you have any questions on the concept, then you can.
It's a very important topic, aggregate technical and commercial loss.
Would you cover in your next coming lecture part?
Yes.
What steps the companies have taken, why the losses have come down, in what manner?
Yes, yes.
You are going to cover?
Yes,
Okay,
we are going to cover
that's good, yeah.
what they can take and what have been actually taken.
What has been actually done and
Yes.
why they have been able to reduce these losses?
Yes. Now we come to the measures for reduction of these losses. As we said, I'll just show you a loss scenario in India. You can see what has been the loss scenario on an all-India basis, T&D losses versus AT&C losses. So in 2002-03, T&D losses were 32.54%, then AT&C losses were 36.63%. 2003-04 for the country as a whole, the T&D losses were 32.53%, AT&C losses were around 34.78%, and 4-5, 31.25% was the T&D loss, and AT&C loss was 33.82%. And then 2005-06, this T&D losses come to around 30%, and AT&C losses is around 33%. So how do these losses compare with other countries of the world? You can see where we stand as compared to T&D losses in other countries. We have figures up to 2003. You can see Argentina, Australia, most of these countries have losses in the range of 6 to 11%, whereas India is at 30-31%. You can see these figures for various countries of the world. Japan has around 5%, Malaysia has 5%, Korea has...
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, Cochin, please ask your question.
Good morning, madam.
Yes.
While going through the course material, AT&2 losses, the collection efficiency in some of the cases it is given 101.27%,
Yes.
and more than 100% values are there.
Yes.
I mean, is it a mistake or?
No, it is not a mistake. Actually, what happens when you realize an amount, the amount billed is taken for the current year. But when you realize an amount, there are some areas which come for last year. So when those areas are also realized in the current year, then the collection efficiency becomes more than the amount billed. And it is very difficult to segregate from the amount realized for the current year, or it is the amount realized for the previous year. That is why in some cases you get a collection efficiency of more than 100%. But that is taken, because in 3 or 4 years it will even out. Even if you have received areas for the past or past years, it is going to even out in the next few years. So that is the reason collection efficiency sometimes becomes more than 100%.
I think we are clear.
So it's not a mistake actually. We were talking about losses in our country as compared to the losses in other advanced countries, even other developing countries. In most of the developing countries also, losses are below what we are having in our country. So as you can see, this is a comparative figure of losses in 2002 and 3 in various countries of the world. You can see many countries are having losses below 5%.
Yeah, there is a call from Shillong. Yeah,
Yes.
Shillong, please ask your question.
Yeah. Can you explain regarding the billing of the losses in the tariff? You say, for example, GESCOM has got an ATC loss of 43%.
Yes.
So you said that the utility will not suffer the loss, this will be billed to the consumer. Can you explain that mechanism?
Yeah, because when you are considering your average revenue requirement for the year, then losses become a pass-through in the tariff. So the amount is considered as a pass-through in your revenue requirement, and that is taken as your revenue requirement. That is why it comes in as a part of the tariff. Is it okay? So we were talking about losses in the advanced countries of the world. As I said, these losses are in the range. Quite a few countries have. You can see where India stands compared to other countries in 2002 and 3. Japan and all, they are below 5%. Korea is at 4%. So we have quite a few countries at around 4 and 5%. You can see these figures. So in India, if we see the power loss scenario, then more than 50%, we have 5 number states. We have 40 to 50%, 8 number states. We have 30 to 40, 7 numbers. 20 to 30, we have 9 numbers. And below 20%, 6 number of states. So, and that too, below 20% are Tamil Nadu, Daman and Diu, Lakshadweep, Pondicherry. Daman, Diu, Lakshadweep and Pondicherry have small systems. So somebody was talking about what should be the losses when we talk about 5% losses in advanced countries, then what is the target level in our country? We are not thinking of going to 5% in the first stage. In our country, the power loss which we are targeting is 8 to 15% in the first stage, and the losses in various elements of the system are given here. The step-up transformer and EHV transmission system, the target of power loss should be 5 to 1%. The transformation to intermediate voltage level transmission system and step down to sub-transmission voltage level should be in the range of 1.5 to 3%. Then sub-transmission system and step down to distribution voltage level should be 2.25 to 4.5%. Distribution lines and service connection should be in the range of 4 to 7%. So if you are having losses then higher than this, then you should target this level of losses in the various elements. There was a question regarding this.
It is necessary to mention here when we show the international statistics of losses. In the international scenario, such longer grids are not existing. This is one point to be focused. And the losses which they are reporting 4%, 5%, we sometimes tend to go into more details of this reporting system.
Yes.
How are they reporting? Because it may not be rather feasible to bring down these losses to a level which is in the EHV system of transmission. Our transmission losses are say 2 to 3%. Then it means the distribution and sub-distribution system would need to be reduced to 2 to 3% again.
Exactly.
US has got about 9%.
Yes.
The Japan may be believable because no country has a national grid, and they are smaller grids, and then there are the generation systems are located near to the load centers, and it is perhaps feasible if you have the HVDS system to have the losses to such low values. So they have to be seen in the Indian context.
Exactly, that is why our
targets which we have fixed 8 to 15% are quite reasonable and sustainable in that regard.
Exactly, sir. And what happens is that when you are in the higher range, reduction of losses requires very little investment. But when you come down to say 15% reduction of even 1% of loss requires lot of investment, because it is mostly technical loss which is there, and reduction requires lot of investment of resources.
We will need a larger time frame to bring down these losses, because this is in two parts. One is the new systems which are being designed for the next 5 years, the new capacity addition and new consumers which are coming. The system can be upgraded and it can be the state-of-the-art technology. Losses will be low. But the majority of the system which is existing, it may not be rather feasible to upgrade the whole system or replace the whole system to bring down the. So it has to be done in phases.
Exactly. That is why our target in the next 5 years is 15%.
That's right. Okay.
So at a national level it is 15%.
In some of the areas it has been possible to reduce the losses to about 9%. I will say Ahmedabad and Surat are two examples in the country where they have brought down the losses to 9%.
Yeah, BSES has brought it down in Mumbai also to around 10%. So it's possible, but it requires a lot of investment. So that is why our target.
So now the time of the small break. So first I just want to announce that about the next video conferencing session. We have already dispatched the schedule of the October and November video conferencing, and if you don't receive that, then please note down that next video conferencing session is on 6th of October. Timings are 3:30 to 6:15. There are 3 sessions, 3:30 to 6:15. And then 7th of October, Sunday, the timings are morning 9 o'clock to 10:45. There are 2 sessions. We will discuss about the course 2, energy management and IT applications in these sessions. So now we will take a short break of 15 minutes. At sharp 12 noon we will be here. Thank you.